Hey everybody, it's Gatronist, otherwise known as Garrett. And I wanted to go ahead and make a short video, or at least I hope it's short, talking about my experience as a poet, um, as the weaver of lines and stanzas across the eons of time. Also, this shirt says I'm not procrastinating, I'm doing side quests. So I'm just doing a side quest right now. Anyways, but my experience as a um, poet. Now, my experience of writing goes back to when I was much younger. I had actually started writing back when I was a child, and I had started writing a lot of weird fantasy stories about people with glowing swords in their hand, glowing samurai swords, flying on wooden katana spaceships through battle and dropping into battles in gladiator arenas. If it didn't already occur to you, I'd make a lot of references to like Star Wars, glowing samurai sword sticks, uh, and Geonosis, Star Wars. But I had started writing at a young age for whatever reason. I just had a lot of story ideas and a lot of different ideas I wanted to write down and record. And it was my grandparents who had taken a strong interest in learning how to foster that. And they had, I think going back decades, they've been passed away for about 10 years now, but they had saved a bunch of my short stories to, even when I was like a teenager, when I was like 16 or 17, they were there to share those and remind me of all that. And I was still doing my writing, but obviously the teenage years can be a very tumultuous time period in someone's life, depending on, how you are as a person. I think, especially for um, a lot of ADHD individuals, it can be very difficult. But that was what I enjoyed doing, and I did a lot of writing and journaling. So, poetry for me was something that I did because I loved having fun with language and words, and I loved expressing myself, and I loved expressing ideas. I had, you know, I always had ridiculous rhymes. I liked to take things that I would see in entertainment, including Marvel. I wrote these seminal lyrics for the Hulk called Hulk Smash. Um, I wrote a ridiculous rhyme called Oh Danish, Now I Speak Spanish. And yes, I'm gonna write this one down. Yeah, I have a whiteboard now, but yeah, this one was entertaining. Yes, oh Danish, now I speak Spanish. Yes, I know. I was a mumble rapper before I even knew it. But anyways, that's what I really liked doing. Also, when I was younger, I really enjoyed writing down the same words over and over again. So I would write them like one way to learn how to spell them, and then I would write them down in a line like 10, 15, 20 times over, just to make sure that I could memorize the spelling, make sure I memorized what the words meant. Um, and yeah, it was always mainly for like creative purposes. Um, and so for me, as a poet type, I started taking a liking into trying to work out, how to express myself in poetry. I never really gravitated towards like the, you know, romance poetry and whatnot. I was never really a big fan of insta poetry, although I certainly partook in it myself, try to contribute my own style in some way. But otherwise, mine was always rooted in like fantasy and science fiction. Also, a lot of surrealism, taking different ideas. A lot of the themes I had in my poetry, especially once I entered into adolescence, became very focused on themes of like isolation and ostracization. I had to move around a lot, so it just worked its way into my poetry naturally. These are themes I still use nowadays, although I try to play more on words with them in order to convey them different metaphorically with through different metaphors, through analogies, alliteration, and what have you. Um, so it wasn't really until 2020 where I read Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner by Coleridge, and I thought, I should try my hand at submitting for publications. So I did, and I got some acceptances, which was nice. Um, and that's just kind of been my poetry journey. Started when I was much younger with wordplay, fun with words, and it's just turning into something that I enjoy doing on a daily basis. So, yeah. Let me know what your experience with poetry is, and down below. I think for my creative writing or for my creative writing posts, I will try and focus on separating fiction and poetry. Sometimes it might go hand in hand depending on the content, but otherwise, that'll be it for this video. And I hope you're all doing wonderful, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day and week.